Hello guys, I'm Foxy, and welcome to RadFox University. This is the next part of the series of videos where I'm explaining the pros and cons of every gun there is in Population 1, going from a personal experience. This is one of those videos I wish existed when I just started playing. In the first video we talked about CX4, RFB and AKM. Now it's time to cover the rest of the assault rifles, M60, MK18 and FAL. Please share your thoughts on the guns in the comments, whether you agree with me or not. Let's get to it. M60. This AR has one of the least recoils there are, but only if you hold it with both hands. Which is great to use, but it keeps you in the open, and you can easily die being exposed. You can one-hand this gun of course, but this way it has a huge random recoil, which simply saying is impossible to control. So for me, the only way to shoot it one hand is to do it bullet by bullet, not going into the auto mode. Of course, you can shoot it in the auto mode with one hand not hitting too much, to just scare enemies away and break builds if it's close range and you need to peek, for example. The damage is high, 29 for body shot and 36 for headshot. Even the lowest damage you get with the drop-off is still high, 18 for body shot and 22 for headshot. Another plus is that M60 has a huge magazine which greatly increases with every star as well. But this is also something you need to keep in mind as you need to loot more, or you are gonna run out of ammo quickly. By the way, you walk 18% slower when holding the M60. It is the best gun for breaking builds and putting pressure. It takes 2 bullets to break one build at any distance. It is especially great in the final shrinks of the zone when everyone is close to each other and enemies rely on builds a lot. M60 destroys here, giving no chance for survival. Another thing you need to remember is it needs some time to wind up. The more stars, the less time is needed. The recoil isn't bad in general, and the least recoil is in the beginning. So when I need to shoot someone far away flying in the sky, I tend to shoot till it winds up for a second or two, stop, shoot again. This way I hit more than I miss. On the other hand, if you know you gotta fight soon, you probably want to start shooting a second or two earlier than needed, just to wind up your M60 to the maximum speed. M60 is very scary in close and mid-range. So I, for example, tend to not even go close to the enemy, as I know there is a high chance of dying, especially if the enemy's teammate is providing some cover and I cannot just shoot the M60 guy. I will remind again the biggest weakness of using the M60. You're standing in the open and vulnerable. Be sure to keep distance or have your teammates nearby to increase the chances of success. MK18. It shoots in bursts of 3, so it is great for those who are struggling at controlling the recoil of auto ARs in general. There is still some recoil involved, but it's not huge at all, and it decreases with every star. Shooting with one hand is pretty hard, as the recoil is big and harder to control. It is hard to peek or shoot while flying. To compensate for the recoil, you need to move the gun either down or away from you. Check and see what works better. Yes, it feels slower than AKM and some other guns, but it is still a gun that can be scary in close to mid-range. If you hit all 3 bullets at once, so one full burst, you can do up to 111 damage right away. The max damage for body shot is 25, for headshot is 37. The minimum damage is 15 for body shot and 22 for headshot. MK18 isn't good in mid to far range, as it's difficult to hit all 3 shots and hit in general being distanced, as it seemed to me. It is also a good gun for breaking builds in close range. It takes 1 burst to break a build up close, although when you get far, it becomes useless. If you can find the perfect timing, you can spam MK18 pretty quickly. A plus which you may take into consideration is that people rarely use this gun, so it's usually easy to find on the map. FAL. A lot of people don't like this gun as it's not easy to consistently hit enemies rather than miss. Although, it can be one of the best guns if you can master it. The main reason why this gun is powerful is the damage it does. It's the biggest among all ARs, and the speed you can shoot it with, which was increased in the last update. The maximum damage you can get is 33 for body shot and 44 for headshot. The lowest damage you can get shooting from afar is 26 for body shot and 35 for headshot, which is still a lot. Another thing is that this gun is not auto. You need to press the trigger button to fire each bullet. That is both good and bad, depending on how you look at it. Bad is if you like the auto rifles, and clicking the trigger button a million times can be annoying. The speed of shooting depends solely on how often and quickly you press the trigger. That's something you need to train. For me, shooting FAL fast in the park seems pretty easy, but when in real game, I notice I cannot do it at the same speed. I'm slow. As for the good, anyone can pick up the gun and not worry about the recoil. It does exist when you shoot super fast, but if you're an average user just like me, there is not much of a recoil. And I notice the bullet hits somewhat lower than where my crosshairs are. FAL isn't the easiest gun to pick with either, as the recoil becomes bigger, which almost forces you to shoot slowly. Something that also changed with the update, FAL breaks one build now always with 4 bullets at any distance. Overall, I struggle with FAL, so I just go with AKM or RB as I kill much faster with those. But if you are still in search of the gun to go, struggle with controlling the recoils, don't really use snipers, or in general like a challenge, master FAL and be the guy everyone is scared of in the lobby. That's all I wanted to show you today. If the video was fun or helpful, please press like and subscribe. You can find more videos about Population 1 on my channel. Anything to add or ask? Welcome to the comments. Thank you for watching. Bye!